Foreclosures soar, sales fall again. But some governments
$1.2 trillion gone in just 6.5 hours. The unemployment rate now at 6.7%.
down sharply in Japan, China, and
using
Australia
credit cards
as
to pay
trading
their
gets underway.
day-to-day.
It's another sign of the nation's weakening economy.
So let me begin by telling you what I understand to be the historical framework out of which this crisis comes. And I think you need to see it historically to get a sense of how big it is, how profound it is, how serious this is. Every decade, from 1820 to 1970, every decade, the American working people enjoyed a rising level of wages. It's astonishing. And they understood work more and more as that which allowed you then to go out and buy. In the 1970s, that history of the United States stopped. Real wages stopped rising in the 1970s, and they have never resumed since. Well, for the business community, the last 30 years have been spectacular. With the introduction of computers, American workers became more and more productive. We had a 30-year period of rising labor productivity. But now stay with me. Each year the worker produces more, and what do you pay the worker each year? The same. The gap is getting bigger. That bigger, friends, is called profits. So the last 30 years of flat wages and rising productivity are the greatest profit boom in the history of American capitalism and quite possibly any capitalism. And we know what they did. They began paying themselves levels of wages and bonuses nobody ever heard of before. Large corporations paid their people tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in annual salaries. Companies had huge amounts of money and bought other companies. Are you annoyed by a competitor? Buy them. Are you troubled by a foreigner who's stealing your market? Buy them. And you had the money to do it. What else did they do? They put their money in a bank. And the bank suddenly discovered wild amounts of money coming in from corporations. Banks and large companies discovered a very profitable way to use their new huge profits. They would lend them to the employees. That is, the way that the employees could raise their consumption when their wages didn't go up anymore was to borrow the money that their frozen wages made possible to their employers. To understand the American economy in the last 30 years then amounts to this. Employers no longer raise the wages of their workers. Instead of raising my worker's wages, I lend him the money, which he has to pay me back with interest. Isn't that better than paying them wages? It's so profitable to push debt on the American people that everybody does it. It is a society out of control. It is a profit bonanza looking for more ways to make money. And the financial sector on Wall Street responded to this situation. It didn't create it. It got its hands on the money and found new ways to lend new people new loans at high interest rate.
Foreclosures soar, sales fall again. But some governments
$1.2 trillion gone in just 6.5 hours.